Right. Well, one contentious issue likely to crop up in that debate, abortion access. And that is what connects us to our other major US story that we are covering this hour, the Supreme Court. We are moments away from the court releasing decisions on a raft of cases, possibly including presidential immunity and emergency room abortions. Now, we may have had a glimpse of what the court has decided on that second issue. According to Bloomberg News, the Supreme Court appears poised to temporarily allow abortions in medical emergencies in Idaho after a document was posted on the court's website and then quickly taken down. The court has acknowledged inadvertently posting the document and says it has not officially rendered a decision. Well, I want to bring in CNN Politics senior reporter Stephen Collinson and defense attorney Misty Marris. Stephen, let's start with you. Hours from the debate, moments from more impactful rulings from the Supreme Court. Just put this day into context for our viewers, if you will.
Yeah, Becky, I've covered a lot of presidential debates. They're always a big event, but this one seems more profound than all of them, simply because of the different paths the United States could take after November's election, depending on whether President Biden gets a second term or former President Donald Trump gets a non-consecutive second term. The stakes in this debate are absolutely massive. These are issues that are very important not just to Americans, but will reverberate around the world, because a Donald Trump-led United States that would probably be more volatile and unpredictable than it was in his first term could have huge consequences for the US posture in the world, the way it interacts with its allies and even its enemies. So this is a profound day, I think, in American politics.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the US Supreme Court likely to drop a number of other key opinions on cases, and there are a number which are hugely impactful. Misty, let's focus on that court for a moment. The draft ruling on the Idaho abortion case that we saw a glimpse of yesterday, reported by Bloomberg News. It was taken off as quickly as it was posted. Can we expect that to be the decision? And if so, what does it tell you about the court's relationship to the abortion issue?
Well, first of all, that decision being posted inadvertently, according to the Supreme Court, it leads me to believe that that was likely the final decision. There could have been changes. We don't know, but it sounds like the court isn't saying that there was a leaker or anything like that it was inadvertently put out there. So what does this say? Well, this case was struck down, if that decision is accurate, what we saw yesterday, and that's the final decision, because the court said it was improvidently granted for the Supreme Court to become involved at that time. So that means in Idaho, relating to this specific law, emergency room care for conditions other than when a mother's life is at risk, so when her health is at risk, is available to them. So emergency room doctors can provide that care. If this is the decision, it did not answer the bigger question about whether or not a federal law relating to emergency room care is going to apply across the country. So because the court was saying we really shouldn't have taken this up at this time, it's a good result for that Idaho case relating to emergency room care for the Biden administration, but it does not answer the bigger question that needs clarification for doctors to act nationwide. So it's kind of a narrow decision.
Kick the can down the road is another way of describing this one. Stephen, abortion, of course, an issue that Joe Biden does want to discuss in the debate, and the Supreme Court may help put that even higher on the agenda. What does Donald Trump want to talk about?
Donald Trump certainly doesn't want to talk about abortion because he has a very dicey position on it, given the fact that it was the conservative majority on the Supreme Court that he built that overturn the right to abortion, which has seen this chaos unfold across the country, and that could play into Democratic hands. What Trump would much prefer to talk about is the crisis at the southern border, large numbers of arrivals, although some of those have diminished somewhat following some pretty hardline policies that were adopted by Biden recently on asylum. But he's creating this narrative that the United States is in this dystopian state, facing a tide of what he calls invaders from abroad, undocumented migrants. He wants to focus on the state of the economy. A lot of Americans are really struggling still with high prices for food, for cars. They can't get mortgages. It's difficult for a lot of people to pay rent. The dividend from the post-pandemic era really hasn't filtered through to a lot of those Americans, despite the strong U.S. economy. And he wants to create a picture of a country that is stalked by violent crime. All of these things kind of intersect together. That's the picture I think that Donald Trump will try to build tonight. And he will say that Biden is weak on the global stage. A lot of these conflicts that are happening in Ukraine, the Middle East, he says wouldn't have happened if he was president, even though he's given no sense of what he would have done to stop them.
Misty, you've got 30 seconds. The presidential immunity case may be the most politically controversial. Does the court consider the timing of releasing such a decision hours before this first debate, for instance, does that come into their thinking?
Well, there's no rule on the books that says it should or shouldn't, but my guess is it definitely is coming into their thinking. I doubt we will see that one today dropped on the day of this historic debate. I think we're going to see that one a bit later. It's likely to be the most talked about and controversial decision, no matter which way it goes.
Yeah. And Misty, as you were speaking, my producer getting into my ear, letting me know that we are expecting 3 to 4 decisions today from the Supreme Court. There's a raft to come. We know that there are 3 or 4 key ones. It's whatever drops that's important, and that will happen in a couple of minutes' time. Thank you very much to both of you. That's it.